What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown. I am your host, Micah McCamey, and in last episode, we talked about the 5 potential candidates that could end up being drafted by the Tennessee Titans in the first round. And of course, I was not right on a single one of them. None of the 5 that I discussed were actually picked by the Titans. But, what can you do at this point? Can't go back. But anyway, in that episode, I feel like that I probably should have included Latham looking back at it. But anyway, in today's episode, we're going to be going over my letter grades for all of the draft picks that were made by the Titans on April 25th through 27th. So I'm really excited to get into this episode, honestly, especially after the success that my live stream and the shorts for the live stream had. Thank you for that, by the way. But anyway, let's get on with today's episode. But before we get into, obviously, the draft, we got to talk about something. And I'm not going to say the name because this dude is going to get talked about later. But there's a lot, I thought that the divide would finally stop in the Titans fan base. The draft would end and everybody would go back to being Titans fans, talk about the picks and what they did and didn't like about them. But it actually has had quite the opposite effect. Actually, I think the fan base is 10 times more divided than it was then now. I've looked on Twitter, I've looked on Instagram, everybody is torn apart about this pick that we made. Again, I'm not going to say who the pick is because I'm going to let y'all know who that is whenever I get to it. But I'll be honest, man, I think it's a little ridiculous. Both sides of the argument, the ones that do like this player and the ones that don't like this player. I don't know. I find it just kind of stupid, honestly. Why are we arguing over this? Let's just enjoy the Titans as much as we can. At least not have too much wild banter in the fan base. I mean, we are Titans fans all together. We're not. It's I feel like I see some of these arguments, and it feels like that it's Colts fans going against Titans fans. And obviously, that is ridiculous, all right? So, please, for goodness sakes, I know that I probably won't have a lot of leeway when I say this, but please, I just need both sides to at least come to some sort of agreement. It's all so ridiculous, honestly. But, what do I expect, honestly? It is Twitter, so whatever. Anyway, now we move on to the main topic of today's episode, grading every single pick that the Tennessee Titans made. Also, thank you for the turnout for the live stream. It was very fun. I had a good time, interacted with some of y'all in the chat, and I was very grateful for the reaction that my shorts got, of how many people watched those and saw my reactions to all this stuff. So, thank you. But now we move on to today's stuff. And the first pick that the Titans made at number 7 was J.C. Latham. And this is probably the second best pick in this draft. Actually, no, it's the best pick in this draft, and I don't even think it's frankly close. I mean, there's another pick later on down the road that I'll come back to that I think, oh yeah, this guy is, potentially the best pick. But this guy that we have right here, J.C. Latham, may end up changing the course of the Titans franchise. Or may help in that, all right? That all depends on Will Levis. But anyway, yeah, J.C. Latham, I gave this pick an A-. Actually, no, I gave it an A, just flat. I was so close to giving it an A+, but there is a couple of minor concerns that I have about this dude. So forgive me for that, but I do really like the pick. And let's get into some of the positives. I'm going to talk about the positives as in I'm going to give you 2 positives about the player in general, and then I'm going to give you a positive about why he can contribute to the Titans, and then I'm going to give you 1 negative. And the grading system goes, D to F is just bad. C is just meh, it's okay. B is high potential, but still not enough for an A because I need to see it before I believe it. And in the A's, it's I'm pretty confident that this guy is going to be good and that he will help this franchise move into the right directions. J.C. Latham, I gave an A. He's got very strong hands. Like if he gets you with his hands, you're done. Like you don't have any I don't know what I was trying to say there. You don't have any chance of just, trying to get away from it. Like that dude is so strong that once he gets your hands on you, you just can't do anything about it. And obviously he's a really big dude as well. Like he's like, I believe it's like 6'7", like 350 pounds or something stupid like that. Now, obviously, he's got to lose a little bit of that to, gain some speed, which is my one negative, is that I feel like that he is a little slow coming off of the line sometimes. He's not slow all the time, I'll say that, but, he is a very light-footed O-lineman for his size, so I will give him that, but it's just a little inconsistent. Like, it'll sometimes be there, and it sometimes won't be there. The positive for the Titans is that this fills their biggest need. I know there are a lot of people still thinking that he's going to play right tackle, but I'm here to tell you right now, Carthen and Callahan confirmed it. He will be playing left tackle for this next season at least. So, again, really like this pick, and I think that Bill Callahan will do wonders with this guy. Like, here's the thing. Give a dude that is known as potentially having the highest ceiling in this entire draft, give him to one of the greatest O-line coaches in NFL history. Like, that is something that cannot be denied as being just a great, great pickup. And it's obvious that Bill Callahan had to have had some leeway in this. And also, I heard a report come out today. I'm honestly starting to feel kind of happy that the Chargers took Joe Alt, because here's what would have happened. At pick 5, if the Chargers would have gone Latham, then it's pretty well known that the Giants would have gone with Joe Alt at 6, which I just think is flat out stupid. Giants gonna Giant. But anyway, yeah, I thought that, in the heat of the moment, as you could tell by my reaction, I was really upset because that was the one team that worried me. But now looking back at it, knowing that the Giants would have probably taken Joe Alt, at least according to Shefty, it makes me happy that we ended up with Latham. I just wanted to put that out there. But anyway, now we move on to the second pick that we made. So, let me ask you this. Do y'all remember earlier in this episode whenever I was talking about the dude that was dividing the Titans fan base because people are a little concerned about, there's one side of the fan base that's like really high on him and one side of the fan base just absolutely hates him? Yeah, this is the guy that I was talking about. T'Vondre Sweat, defensive tackle out of Texas. Now, where do I stand on this? Do I really hate it? Do I really love it? I stand somewhere in the middle, quite honestly. I gave this one a B. Now, obviously, the talent is there. He is huge, gigantic, one of the biggest dudes that I have seen play defensive line, and that is saying a lot, let me tell you that much. And this guy is a very good defensive lineman, but there obviously are a couple of minor concerns. There's a reason that he wasn't a first-round pick, which he had, to me, I think he had the potential to be, just because of his God-given abilities. So, yeah, he's huge, obviously, but the biggest thing is that he absorbs double teams like it's nothing. If you don't double team this dude, he is going to punish you. Like, because he's just so gigantic and so strong that he's just going to push. He's either going to bull rush straight into you, or he's going to use his nasty swim move with his very fast hands and just blow right past you. But, obviously, there are a couple of negatives. First off, he is meh with pass rush, and obviously that's like one of the biggest things in the NFL right now, is that you got to have good pass rush and good pass defense, and that's how you stop other teams from getting under your skin and making big throws and whatnot, obviously. So, there's that, but I think that what most people are concerned about, and I don't get this, honestly, off the field concerns. Okay, so from what I could tell, dude was described as kind of a class clown. Again, I really do not care. I could care less about that. I know there are a lot of people that are just like, man, they got to be gritty, they got to be serious, and they got to be tough. But here's the thing. Have y'all ever seen Christian Wilkins mic'd up? Like, holy cow, that dude, is the biggest class clown I have ever seen. And I don't think he's doing half bad right now, honestly. He had some amazing years in Miami, and then he got the big fat contract from the Raiders. Like, I think that dude's doing just fine right now as a class clown. Now, yes, the DUI or is it DWI? One of those two. That's obviously a little bit concerning. I mean, obviously it's going to be a little concerning whenever you are caught driving drunk and whenever you are being moved into Nashville, one of the biggest party cities in the South. So, obviously there is a little bit of concern with that, but here is my thing. First off, he is going to be Big Jeff's partner in crime. That's the first thing. Like, Big Jeff is going to have another truly dominant defensive lineman to fill the hole that the Nico Autry left whenever he left just a few months ago. So we got to take that into consideration, obviously. But then there's also the fact that Big Jeff seems like he wants to take T'Vondre Sweat under his wing, which is something that I really appreciate, quite honestly, because I think that Big Jeff is going to try his best. He's going to keep him under control, and he's going to try and help him out. And it's also helpful is that Big Jeff has been there before. Like, he was obviously he had a couple of other things. Like, he had the injury, which obviously didn't help his draft stock. But he was also accused of some really bad stuff that I'm not going to get into right now. But, like, pre-draft, from what I heard, he also got into some pretty bad stuff. And here's the thing. If I'm wrong on that, I will cut that out. But, it's better for my point. All right. So, again, I kind of like this pick. Obviously, I think that even the T'Vondre Sweat haters can agree that this pick has an insanely high ceiling if it works out. But as of now, we don't know if he'll reach that ceiling. He could very well end up just, being absolutely horrible, no work ethic whatsoever. Even though from what I've heard, it seems like that he has a good motor. It's at least, since his junior season, he started really trying to put in some work. So, obviously there are some concerns, but I trust Ran Carthon enough, and I'm going to give this one a B. All right, moving on. We have Cedric Gray, middle linebacker out of North Carolina. I wanted to give this one an A+. So bad. So bad. But he is a 4th-round pick. So we don't know, what the problem is. Value-wise, it's an A+. By far. Not even close. Just because of the fact that he was projected to go early 3rd, late 2nd round, and he dropped all the way to the 4th for us to go get him. And combine that with the fact that Ran Carthon is really good at drafting middle linebackers, it seems like that would be the perfect pick. But I'm going to give it an A- just because of the fact that it's so obvious that something had to give. There was something that made teams think, oh, man, this dude is not good for our draft board. Now, do I think that there's too much concern there? Probably not. But anyway, Cedric Gray, I gave an A-. Now, if he was drafted higher, if we traded up into the 3rd to go get him, I would tell you that this was an A+ by far. Knocked it out of the park. But here's my thing. First off, but here are my positives, all right? He has really good coverage skills. That is the first thing. He has good instincts, he can read a quarterback's eyes very well. Overall, just very good with coverage schemes and whatnot. He also is a very good QB spy. So whenever we need somebody that needs to just, make sure that the QB doesn't roll out of the pocket and go get a first down or something, he is the guy for that. So I think that that's great. The Titans positive here is that he is the perfect combo with Kenneth Murray, because Kenneth Murray is a very good blitzing linebacker, but he's not really the best, what's the word? He's not really the best coverage linebacker, if you will. He's not going to be some type of guy that's just, going to go out and get some random interception. He may get one, if he's lucky. But like he's too aggressive to get interceptions. So I think that this perfectly balances out. And we obviously needed somebody that was like a very good coverage guy to pair along with a dude that is very aggressive and is going to be a very blitz happy kind of fellow. All right. So my one negative, though, is that from what I've heard, he's very iffy with tackling. So we got to work on that, being able to, completely bring the dude down. It's kind of like the problem that Alshire had last year. It's just that the difference is Cedric Gray is significantly younger, so we can get that out of him, especially with Denard Wilson, young hotshot defensive coordinator. And also, I think that we'll end up hiring an old defensive coordinator once Denard Wilson inevitably gets hired away. So it's not like once Denard Wilson leaves that the party will stop and that we can't help him out with tackling anymore. So, yeah, I gave this pick an A-. I think it's one of the better picks. I think it's the best value pick by far. So that's just my opinion, though. Now we move on, and we have Jarvis Brownlee Jr. A lot of people are very high on this pick. And I'm pretty high on it, don't get me wrong, but like I'm not as high as some other people. Like I saw someone give this a better grade than the Latham pick and the Cedric Gray pick. I think that's just a little ridiculous personally, but I do really love this pick, especially with the value that I get with it. Because obviously, what if we can't extend Roger McCreary? What if we just don't have any cap space at all and Roger McCreary wants the bag and we can't offer that to him? What happens then? Well, we can develop this dude behind the scenes, make sure that he is ready whenever he comes in, and he can end up being the Roger McCreary replacement and could be a part of one of the most physical defensive backs in the NFL. Now, like I said, very physical defensive back. That's his first positive. His second positive is he also has a football mind. Like he's very smart when it comes to the football field, at least. And obviously, like I said, I actually have two Titans positives for this one. Obviously, like I said, like what if we can't give McCreary the bag and, we have to go rely on him? Like we can just develop him behind the scenes. But the other thing that I really like about this pick is that he is a very, very good special teams player. And we're going to need that because from what I can tell by the undrafted free agents, shout out to Jabari Small, from what I can tell, there's a different battle going on at running back 3. And I am confident that Hassan Haskins, who has been one of our best special teams players, love him or hate him, that's just the truth. One of our better special teams players ended up is probably going to end up being cut, just judging by what we're doing moving with the running back position. So take that with what you will. Special teams nerds, I know that some of y'all are probably a little upset about that, but it's sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Man, that was a weird quote. Anyway, special teams demon. His one negative, and everybody harped on this, it's probably the only reason that he didn't end up being a day 2 pick. He is not that great in deep coverage. You can, he's just he's all or nothing right at the line of scrimmage. If you can beat him past his insane physicality, then you will be fine. Then you will be fine. You can beat him on a deep route and you can run a lot of other things. But here's the thing. He's obviously really good at physicality, and we've obviously got to work on his deep coverage. But if we can get his deep coverage, I think that he can end up being starting caliber. So, obviously, my B+, I think that this pick is very good, and I think that this pick could end up being one of the most important in this draft. Now, we move on. Jaquan Jackson. I gave this one a B-. This is probably, I'd say it's my least favorite pick because I don't think it's fair to say that either of the 7s are my least favorite pick because, they're very experimental, to say the least. Like they're meant to, take some time to develop. They do, but all these dudes do love football, so I'm very appreciative of that. But anyway, Jaquan Jackson, a B-. First off, he's a very, very speedy fellow. Like he is fast. and he will beat you down the field. And as you could tell, if you watched him at Tulane, you can tell this dude absolutely puts on the burners when he gets the ball. Like, my gosh, like you should have seen him in that USC game. Whenever he took that slant like 70 yards to the house, that got me excited, I ain't gonna lie. But anyway, obviously he's fast. He is very versatile as well. Like I saw him take some snaps at receiver. I saw him take some snaps at running back. I saw him take snaps all over the field, except for quarterback, obviously, or left tackle. So versatility is very key, and that's something that can be used to a great degree. You can take advantage of that purely and wholly. So I really like that about him. Also, he is the Titans' positive here is that he brings some competition to the wide receiver 3 position. He can challenge Treylon Burks and Kyle Phillips to push harder, to go even harder than they have in the past few off seasons. Again, I'm really hoping that, Brian Callahan brings out the best in Treylon. Do I think he will? I don't know. But, I think that this also helps push him. So that's another great thing. But also, he's an amazing punt returner. Like, that's probably one of the biggest, attractions to him. He can also, like I said, challenging Kyle Phillips, he can end up being the new punt returner and kick returner. I mean, who knows? But anyway, also, my one negative, though, is that his hands aren't really that great. And again, very tiny. So he's tiny and fast. So he's probably not going to be catching too many jump balls unless he's against another tiny cornerback. But obviously, that's not as common anymore. So, yeah, B-. I think that this pick could be very valuable to special teams, but I need to see it before I believe it. Anyway, now we have the second to last player, James Williams. I gave this one a B-, mostly just because of the fact that it's in the 7th round. If this was like if he was more like polished and highly touted and he was drafted in like the 4th, it may have been a higher B. So just put that in mind take that for data. Here's the thing. Very effective blitzer. He is going to be transitioning from safety to linebacker. So obviously that brings more into that room, more depth, He also makes some very fast reads. So that's obviously always a win. And the biggest Titans positive here is that he can give Kenneth Murray some competition. Because, here's the thing. We know Cedric Gray is starting. We need some stable coverage. And he will probably provide that the best on day 1. So I believe that Cedric Gray is the obvious starter, but now it's between, will it be Kenneth Murray or will it be this dude, James Williams, who ends up taking that spot as the blitz-happy type of guy right beside Cedric Gray. The one negative that I do have is he needs some better hand technique whenever he is going in for the blitz. And also, again, transitioning from safety to linebacker, that can always be a little bit of a challenge. So I'm hoping that he can take that on and, be a little bit, better with that. But anyway, now we move on to the last player. That would be Jalen Harrell, edge out of Michigan. I gave this one a C+, not because it's anything against the player. And again, it's not my least favorite pick in the draft just because of how late it is, because I can't really, tell you, oh yeah, this guy's going to be a dog or this guy is just going to absolutely stink it up. But he is very athletic, which is something that you look for, someone that is very athletic and still can develop a little bit. So that's a very big positive. He's a run stopper, which is also a very good thing, just judging by the fact that, we're going to be so blitz happy on passes and whatnot that we do need somebody that can be the run stopper. And he's also a very good depth piece for us. So there's that. But the Titans positive here is that he has enough raw potential, to me at least, to become a starter. Now, do I think he will? Probably not. But he's a very, very good depth piece. And that's why I gave it a C+. Now, his negative is that he can be tricked very easily by misdirection. So, we got to beat that out of his head. But, anyway, that's it, honestly. I went a little bit fast on those last two because I'm starting to hang out on the edge of 30 minutes, at least according to my recording as it stands right now. So that's the episode. I had a lot of fun doing this one, I ain't gonna lie. So I have Instagram, Twitter, and I have TikTok. TikTok page has been doing pretty well recently too, so I want to thank y'all for that. But anyway, all of those are under the Titans Rundown. So if you want to go follow those will be left in the description. And for the people listening over podcast, yes, I do have YouTube, and you can go subscribe to that as well. It has shorts. It has, me, my face. You can see what I look like. And that's really all that I have. So anyway, that's going to do it all for me. This has been a rundown of your Tennessee Titans draft. I love y'all. And tighten up.